The maid says to a guy that his son has been born, and she goes on by saying the baby's magic power is really terrifying. But then he ignored her, and he names his child as Apriyudo. After some years later, he became a grown-up, and he was sparing with the knights. He then starts to think that he suddenly woke up in unfamiliar ceilings, but after seeing the people's similarity from this world, he realizes that he got reincarnated into a popular fantasy novel. And at the same time, he is a guy that will soon become a black villain by killing the people from their country. But there is a big problem in that, which was he will be killed by the protagonist of this story. And also the reason he lost is because he didn't have any allies, although he possessed the power to capture any kingdom he wants. But the lower-ranked nobles sided with the protagonist. In the end, when the time comes to face the protagonist, Apriyudo was all alone. So because of that, he doesn't want to continue the same story as the novel says. As a result, he came up with two plans, which was becoming a friend with the hero or becoming an absolute force of evil. But then he chooses the second option since he doesn't like the hero, and also he was born as a villain, so he will become a villain, but this time he won't lose. So as for starters, he decides to kill all the people that will stand in his way before the start of the original novel. And in the end, he will become an absolute evil and crush the protagonist. But then the guy he was sparing with gives up. Afterwards, he decides to find some trustworthy allies. But then the other knights comes in by congratulating his victory, to which he menacingly says it's an expected result, which scared them. After seeing them, he realizes that the skill absolute evil is a troublesome thing, since everyone will hate him because of his overwhelming presence. But still he can become strong because of that skill. And then the guy that surrendered compliments him for his sword skill, which got improved. He then started to think that Apriyudo has a medical healing knowledge, plus he can do a close combat excellently, but more importantly, he got a skill that's called Absolute Evil. As a result, it might even been called as a cheat skill for this character. After realizing it, he gets excited. In the end, he decides to gather allies before the original story starts, and while he was thinking, a knight comes in and says Viren, who is a head of the family, is calling him. The head of the family, who is also his dad, praises him for his growth he has been through. His father is also aiming to become the strongest family in the entire world. Afterwards, he says thanks to his father, while thinking it feels good to be praised by his dad. He then goes on by saying that they will get into the main topic, which is in the next month there will be a commemorative party for Prince's 10th birthday, and he will attend that party too. After hearing it, he realizes the prince sides with the protagonist in the original story. His father then tells him to be careful since he might get misunderstood because of his skills, to which he replies if that's all he wants to say, he will return to the training grounds. After saying it, he left the room. But then his father says that he never expected his son to be not intimidated by his overwhelming presence, to which his right hand says that his son has exceeded 40 levels at his age, which is really abnormal. His father then goes on by saying to gain the loyalty of the nobles in the future, they first needs to increase the good impression of Apriyudo. Afterwards, at the party at the royal capital, the king and his kid, who is the prince, was standing there. The MC's father congrats them for his occasion, to which the king says, "Welcome, Duke," and he goes on by asking who is that kid, to which Apriyudo suddenly starts to introduce himself to the king. After saying it, he looks at the prince, but he quickly gets irritated by his glaze, which shocked him. But then when they were about to leave, someone calls them, who is someone his father knows. After seeing it, he started to think that guy is a lower rank noble, so he is also having a hard time. He then quickly says that he heard his son also going to participate in the party, so he wanted his son to pay respects to him. But his son was scared of Apriyudo, to which he notices it. And then he asks that kid's name, to which he tells his name as Chris Jose. After realizing the fact that he is being disliked by the younger generations, he suddenly gets concerned for his future. So he decides to introduce himself to everybody he could. As a result, he talked with a lot of kids, but everyone was scared of him or didn't like to talk with him. After a while, his father says that he already finished greetings with the most of them, so now he will leave for the adults gathering while he can go around and enjoy the party after. Hearing it, he decides to look around the party, and then when he entered the room, everyone got scared from his presence, and they started to gossip by telling him to go somewhere, and it's not a place for a heretic to step in, to which he angrily looks at them. As a result, they got scared, and they ran away, which made him to get happy. And then while he was standing there, he heard someone say that they belong to the underground family. So why are they attending the party? But then it was that kids who Apryuto was talking to before. Afterwards, the bully punches them by saying it's only lowering their dignity by them being in the same party as them. And all of a sudden, Apryuto asks to them on what are they doing, but then his presence made everyone get scared. And they looks at him while being scared. He then goes on by saying he will ask one more time. After saying, he quickly stands in front of them by saying what are they trying to do to the members of his family. After saying it, he realizes that some children's also got some injury from punches, to which he asks them that they needs to explain on what happened here. So depending on their answers, he might forgive them, but this just made them to get more scared. He then goes on by telling them it's annoying, and also if they ever lay a hand on the people that's under their family, will be considered as picking a fight with their family. And now, he knows everyone's face, and he tells them to get out of here. After hearing it, they started to run away by getting scared. In the end, they are the only ones that was in the room. He then looks at them, which scared those kids, and then he started to say thanks for saving them. After hearing it, he takes his hands and touches his shoulders, but this shocked him. After seeing him, he realizes that guy just introduced himself before, to which he starts to say that there were many high-rank nobles were there, so they couldn't able to rebel, but still he is the one that started the problem, so he should be the one that needs to be punished, not others. After hearing it, a girl suddenly interrupts by saying her name, and after saying it, she says Churs only tried to protect them, and he got injured in the process, so as a result everyone is in the fault here. She then goes on by asking him to show mercy to Chris, but then he was shocked since Chris is more popular than him. He then goes on by saying he understood the situation. So this incident is not only Chris' fault, but rather it's everyone combined. After saying it, he asks Chris to explain the problem in detail, to which he replies, as a low-ranked nobles, they will always be underestimated by the opponents. But then he asks Chris to say the truth, since he already would have known that they will get a poor treatment for being a low-ranked family. After hearing it, Chris started to cry, and he started to crash out by saying there is nothing he could do, but to protect them if that's wrong, what he should do, to which he tells to them that they should have waited for him, which shocked them. He then goes on by saying if he were to be present at that time, he would not have made them to do as their please. After saying it, he thinks to himself that those bullies got scared by him, even though they are overwhelmingly powerful than him only for now. After that, he says he is going to think of a punishment for them, but this made them to get scared, and that punishment was for them to stay in his sight whenever a party like this happens in future, and also they should consider this as a lesson. But after hearing it, they got shocked, and then Churs starts to cry. But he tells to them it's because they don't let other family look down on them, that's all. But then before leaving, he asks them to not leave the family without his permission, to which the guys says yes, but one girl started to blush. After a while, he was teaching them on how to infuse magic to one another. He then goes on by showing to that girl that she can infuse her wind magic and water magic and make this. He then gives her something he made which made her to blush. She then goes on by saying as expected of Apryuto, and then he goes on by asking to Chris doesn't he have fire magic, to which he replies with yes. He then goes on by telling to Chris that he can apply his fire magic and get really strong at it. After that Prince party, this girl and Chris started to organize events like Magic Party and Tea Party. Chris then comes in and asks to him, at the party when he touched him, did he casted some magic? To which he says, yes, he did cast a healing magic on him. After hearing it, Chris started to think he knew it, and also he heard that he is quite talented at magic and swordsmanship at this age. All of the sudden the maids walks in and calls everyone, and they tells everyone to take a break. In the end, they started to drink tea while she is saying she can't believe he can use 4 element magic plus healing magic and dark magic too. As a result, she now respects him more. After hearing it, he started to think that lady is a type of woman that makes the man's instinct to protect her at all cost. He then starts to say he is not that impressive just because he can use all type of magic, since when nobles fight, the important thing is unique magic, which is being passed down to nobles by generation, and they will receive their unique magic once they get to 15 years old. And until then their talents are useless. Chris then asks to him, isn't the Arc family has a unique magic of summoning spirits? To which he replies as yes, and they can summon spirits from other worlds. After saying it, he starts to think those aren't normal spirits, but rather they can summon high-ranking demons. And also in the original story, with his summoning power, he was able to wipe out 40% of the subjugation party. On top of that, his magic won't betray him. After thinking all of it, he suddenly says he wants to inherit his magic. But this made Chris to get scared, while Lady is falling more for him. Afterwards, he starts to think there is 5 years left until he inherits, which means in other words there is more 5 years until the original story begins. In the end, he calls Churs and he goes on by asking him to get a maid he could use, and also that slave needs to be educated, to which he says yes, he can prepare a slave, just like he asked. But then he asks to him, isn't it better if he actually gets a slave by using the Arc family power? To which he says he doesn't like the people in his house, which shocked them. And then he starts to think in the original story, everyone in their family disappears, leaving him all alone. And also the maid that used to be with him died 3 years ago. And now the daughter of that old Lady Mito is taking care of him. But also every maid that works in his Arc family is old. Chris then says to him that he will prepare a best quality slave and asks to him if he have any type request, to which he replies with he doesn't care about the race. And also it'd be great if that slave knows self-defense. But then Lady comes in by saying she will become his slave, to which he says no need, which made her to get sad. Afterwards, Chris says that he will contact him when they got the slaves ready, just like he asked. And then after getting up, he calls his maid. She then comes in and puts his cloak on him, but she was trembling while doing it. In the end, they leaves the place, and then both of them was shocked, since the maids that works for him is itself is scared for Apriyuto. As a result, she started to blush, while saying she wants to make him comfort. And then Chris asks to her on why she is acting like this, to which she says that's because it's better and easy to get close to him if she uses this type of acting, and this shocked him, and he asks to her if she is acting to be in love with him, to which she says that her love is real, and also she misunderstood him before, and like everyone she left him all alone, but when he saved them at that party she realizes the truth. She then asks to him if he got told about his skill, Absolute Evil, to which he says yes. She then goes on by saying when she first heard that name she got a swell in her chest and a small vision, like he is being all alone in the future. So as a result, she decided to be by his side no matter what. And because of that, she chosen to be with him by approaching him in a comedic way. After hearing all of that, Chris suddenly says he also wants to be by his side and fill his surroundings with allies, which is his responsibility. To which Lady smilingly says that's right, which shocked him. And then they started to walk while talking about him. She then started to panic while saying Apriyuto is a handsome guy plus he is rich, so she have to lay the groundwork for the future issues. After a while he arrives at Chris' family house, and his butler says he will be waiting here until he returns. He then goes into their house, and then Krish and his dad welcomes him, and his father started too. say that they have prepared him some slave with self-defense ability, just like he said, and also Chris will show those slaves to him. He then goes on by inviting him inside. After coming in, Apryuto tells to him that there is no need for them to lower the price of the slave, since it will be troublesome if he had debts with them. He then goes on by telling to Jose thanks for the hard work, which made him happy, and he smiles while saying that he is grateful. Chris then says that he will bring in the slaves one by one. He then goes on by saying that their actions have been limited by the slave contract, so he doesn't need to worry about them causing trouble. In the end, he tells him to wait in here. After sitting, he started to think it's like an interview system. Since it's his once-in-a-lifetime purchase, he have to choose it carefully. All of the sudden, Chris says thanks for waiting. He then tells the first slave to come in, and then after coming in, she started to cry while saying, her name is UR, and she is 8 years old plus she is a wolf race. She then straight up asks him to buy her, to which he thinks to himself that it looks like she is about to cry, which really hurting him, since everyone is hating just because of his absolute evil skill. But this made Chris to get angry. He then asks to Krish if she can properly fight, to which he says that wolf tribes are normally stronger than other races, and also she has skills of mercy and beastification, which gives them a good growth potential. After hearing it, he started to think she is not bad, but she is scared of him, so it's not good. As a result, he tells Chris to bring in the next one. After hearing it, she started to cry while saying please no, to which he got shocked, and he started to think maybe he should have acted with more consideration about that girl's emotions. He then looks at Chris, and he was really angry. After a while, another slave comes in, and she says her name is Elizabeth, who is 43 years old, and she will become cute for his master. To which he calls the next slave, and as a next slave, a girl walks in. After seeing her, he got shocked. She then goes on by introducing herself as Maria Stella, who is 15 years old, which made him to realize that he heard that name somewhere. Chris then started to explain that Maria used to be a noble, but she became a slave because they couldn't able to pay back their debts. And also she is yet to awaken her unique magic. After hearing it, he quickly remembers who she is. Maria Stella is an heroine who comes in as an older sister type. Plus, in the original story, she will be bought by the hero. And at first she will act cold, but as the time goes, she will love the hero. Right after thinking about it, he gets a glimpse of her saying that they will continue the training right after he woke up. Afterwards, while he was sleeping, she looks at him, while saying his sleeping face looks cute. She then goes on by inviting him to take a bath with him, since she wants to wash him properly. As a result, he started to blush. He then realizes if he buys her right here, he can actually decrease the protagonist power in future. After that, he tells to Chris that he decided on what to buy, to which he asks to him, is it Elizabeth? After hearing it, he says he decided to buy that wolf girl and Maria, and also Elizabeth is already in good hands. In the end, he signed in the contract, and then Chris' dad says that the contract has been made. He then takes a look at his slaves, and as expected, Maria wasn't happy. Meanwhile, that wolf girl is still being scared. After that, he introduced his name to them. And after realizing the fact that he is from the Ark family, the wolf girl got more scared. And as expected, Maria got more angry. But she was trembling as well. She then goes on by asking him on what is he planning to do to them. After looking their behavior, he realizes that they are hating him just because he is from the Ark family, and he tells to them he is not planning to kill them. And also it looks like they don't understand the situation they are in, which is they are his slave, but while saying it, he uses his skill. As a result, they got really scared by his presence. And also that wolf girl couldn't even able to breathe. As a result, she started to cry while Maria is holding her fear. He then tells them to be careful on how they speak, to which they kneels down by saying they understood. After seeing it, he got happy, since he made 2 women's to submit themselves to him. Afterwards, some months later, someone calls Maria, and it was that maid, and she asks her if she gotten used to the daily work, to which she says at start she was worried about what kind of dirty work they will let her do, but for her surprise, it's not actually that bad. She then asks to Maria on how does she think of Apariuto right now, to which she starts to say that she doesn't know, since after living as together with him as a maid for this past few months, she realizes her master is, surprisingly, quite unlike other members of the Arc family. And also he is being respectful and being careful on what he says, but sometimes he also shows a face expression, whereas says a lot things about him. But still he have never raised his hands against his maids or the low-class nobles. Right after saying it, they heard someone shouting. She then starts to run towards that sound, but then before she could reach there, Apariuto was already there talking to her. After seeing him, she starts to think he always gives this type of good vibes, which is almost making her go crazy. After few months later, the head maid says she is going to quit being the maid, since Maria now knows how to be a full-fledged maid. She can now leave her position to her. Maria then asks to the maid, isn't she afraid of Apariuto? To which she says that she was afraid of him, and also since she is about to become the head maid, she should know about his skill absolute evil. And after hearing the truth, she was shocked since everyone's first impression of Apariuto gets bad just because of his skill. The old maid then says that the servants that works for him still sympathize with his skill, and that's why they inevitably supports him in the shadows. So as a result, he rarely smiles. She then asks Maria to take care of Apariuto in her place. Afterwards, she gets inside his room. She then tells to him that she took over the job as a head maid. So because of that, she heard about his skill, but then he just says okay. She then puts her hands on her chest, and she asks to him if it's bothering him, to which he replies as he doesn't care about other opinions, even if everyone ends up hating him, which made her to think that's quite a determination, but it's still kind of sad. Even though he have a determination to become great, it will still hurt him. She suddenly hugs him from behind, which made him to get blush, but she just calls him young master. From now onwards, I will be by your side as a head maid, so he should let her heal his hurted heart, and also she will not let him stay alone anymore, which shocked him, and then he tells her to let go, and he goes on by asking her to prepare a bath for him. She then blushingly asks him if she can also join, to which he quickly rejects her, but in the end they ended up taking a bath together.